Welcome back to Hardball. Last night, Trump tweeted this warning: the Supreme Court is one of the main reasons I got elected president. I hope Republican voters and others are watching and studying the Democrats' playbook. But the New York Times reports that the path forward surrounding Kavanaugh's nomination could impact this fall's midterm calculus for both parties, noting Republicans acknowledge that in pushing Judge Kavanaugh forward, they will only further imperil their House majority, which depends in part on a series of suburban districts filled with voters already enraged about Donald Trump's treatment of women. I'm joined now by the Hardball Roundtable, Anita Kumar, White House correspondent for McClatchy, Sahil Kapur, national political reporter for Bloomberg, and Jason Johnson, politics editor for TheRoot.com. All three of you in order. Quickly, what will be the impact if this guy's confirmed with all this question about his behavior in high school?
Well, I mean, you're right. We've already seen women, Emily's List, one of the groups, and other groups talking about how women are getting motivated, enthusiastic, passionate about going to the polls and volunteering for different candidates.
How about this impact of this thing, of the accuser, what she said, Dr. Ford, and what she said about what she said he did?
Well, I think you hit it just right earlier when you said, what if they go ahead with this quickly and they don't give her a say and something else happens in a couple of weeks? Yeah. Other information comes out.
Right. It'll light a fire under an already passionate and raging movement, which is, the Me Too movement. Suburban, college-educated, professional women are already motivated in big numbers, and this is going to only likely, propel them even further. And that's going to have the biggest impact in the House in races like Barbara Comstock in Virginia, Peter Roskam in Illinois.
They're going to hurt her?
Mimi Walters.
Will it hurt Comstock in Virginia?
I think it will. I think it will motivate some more Democrats to show up to the polls. And the Senate is obviously a more complicated picture, but even there, in places like Tennessee and Missouri, suburban women could hold the balance of power.
A lot of single women in Northern Virginia. I've always thought there are a lot of people moving in and out.
Right.
But they vote Democrat and they vote on choice and other issues like that.
Tennessee, Missouri, Arizona, this becomes a debate question, right? You can play with this as a national issue and say this is some inside D.C. stuff, but when you have women Republicans running for the Senate and they're going to be asked this question by local debates when they have to argue on behalf of this in their own states, it's going to have an impact.
Especially on Tuesday.
Exactly.
When they didn't hear from the witness and they're about to vote on Thursday. And how about Friday after they vote to confirm and they haven't heard from her and she's planning to go on 60 Minutes or somewhere on NBC with her full story? I mean, who wants on the Republican side to hear her full story when they can't do anything to protect themselves? Anyway, meanwhile, President Trump expressed confidence in his party's chances this fall in an Oval interview with the Hill newspaper. Quote, I think we're going to do much better than anyone thinks because the economy is so good and people do like the job I'm doing, said Trump, who has talked about the possibility of a red wave for the GOP this fall. Red wave?
Well, a couple things from that. One, the economy is doing well, but nobody's really talking about that. Not nobody. A lot of people are not talking about it. Because he's tweeting something a minute. But
why is he getting no respect like Rodney Dangerfield? Because I agree with you. It seems like people don't really attach him to that.
Yeah, but let's also be clear that people close to the White House and to the political staff are... Trump can say what he wants, but they are bracing for to lose the House.
No political observer in their right mind believes there's going to be a red wave. The only question is how many seats in the House do Republicans end up losing? And one of the big problems with this talk from President Trump is that it's lulling Republican voters into a sense of complacency.
I say 30 to 40. Where are you, Sahil?
On the House? That's probably about right. And my colleague Josh Green obtained a poll from the RNC that was done internally where they found out that at least half of their voters, well over half of their voters who describe themselves as strong Trump supporters, don't believe that Democrats have a chance of taking the House. So they're not going to be as motivated to show up. That's a problem.
Why not? Don't they read the paper?
Well, they've been told that polls were wrong before. And
oh, good for them.
What else is he going to say?
Jason.
I mean, look. One, we know Trump doesn't pay attention. He doesn't pay attention to facts. He doesn't pay attention to polls or statistics, whether it's polling numbers or the number of people who've passed away. But what else is he supposed to say? He's the coach. Your team is down 0-2. He's supposed to say we can still make the Super Bowl. So this makes perfect sense. Of all the crazy things Trump does, him saying we've still got a chance to keep the House and Senate, it actually makes sense coming from him.
You're supposed to say it's close and we have to show up to make it happen, not to say
no president's
going to say we're going to lose
40 seats.
Yeah, he's got to say we got a chance of turning this around and gonna have a red wave.
They need a slogan. Mine would be, the Democrats, at least try to keep this guy under control a little, because in the end, that's what you're going to get. You get a lot of people believe that. I think most of the country believes this guy goes too far. Anyway, finally, I mean, a strong majority or minority think he's just awful. Anyway, President Trump toured the Carolinas today, visiting areas impacted by Hurricane Florence. In North Carolina, Trump handed out food and toured affected communities, meeting with the residents there. There he is. Trump's visit comes less than a week after he stirred criticism with his tweet claiming the death toll, however, from Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico was being inflated by Democrats to make him look bad. Ron DeSantis, the Republican candidate for governor down in Florida, weighed in through a spokesman saying that would be DeSantis, doesn't believe any loss of life has been inflated. But Politico reports today that those comments have made Trump furious with his former ally. The president has told close associates in recent days that he views DeSantis as profoundly disloyal for distancing himself. The report goes on to add, one person close to the president described the situation as a divorce. At the moment, Trump has no plans to travel to Florida to campaign for DeSantis. So DeSantis said he didn't think the numbers were bogus. Trump says they are bogus. Therefore, he's not loyal to Trump.
Right. But let's be clear. Most every Republican that I saw said the same thing. But for DeSantis to say that was really a big deal for President Trump. This is a guy who was down by double digits. Trump endorsed him. He went on to win. He really feels like he's.
What are there a lot of in Florida?
Well, right.
Puerto Rican voters.
Right.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, he was caught between the president and his state.
That's the level of loyalty that President Trump demands. He doesn't want you to contradict him. He doesn't want you to criticize him. Even when he says something conspiratorial that's not backed by evidence, that offends a politician's voters who they need to win an election in a couple of months. I mean, it's a very high bar.
Rick Scott said the same thing. He's not going after Rick Scott. This is because he thought DeSantis would be one of his ploys, one of his good buddies in the Senate. Here's the issue. He can't win this either way, right? If he had agreed with the president, that sinks him even lower. He's already down by 6 to Gillum. If he says the president is wrong, then Trump's not going to come down and campaign for him, and he needs Trump to campaign for him to win Florida.
Prediction, they'll be on each other's dance cards well before election, and we all know that.
Yeah.
And the roundtable sticking with us. And up next, these three will tell me something I don't know. You're watching Hardball.